I think there is a real anxiety there, because it's not, I think what frustrates me with sometimes with where the politicians seem to think is they're back in school now in September, so it's all about looking forward. Of course it's about looking forward, you know, how much can they learn and internalize from now until whenever these exams are going to be in June. But actually, you've got to take account of, you've got to look back as well and take account of the fact that they weren't in school for 5 months too. And not only did they miss a significant amount of face-to-face contact then, but it has made them very anxious. They are very, very anxious. They're very concerned and they're very worried. And so there's that kind of issue about they feel like their well-being, but what kind of state are they in to learn moving forward? And we've had to do a lot of work to try and encourage them in that regard. I think you know, this is not a political point, but I think there needs to be much more clarity about now we know there are going to be exams, and that's been made clear. And by moving them forward by 3 weeks is okay. They move forward by 3 weeks, but 15 days is not a huge amount of compensation for the amount of time they've missed. But we need some real clarity about what's going to be in the exams, and so that we can plan accordingly. We've got some indications of that, but still Ofqual haven't gone through all of the subjects and haven't made that clear. So we've still got teachers delivering syllabuses, and not all of that knowledge may be examined. And so there needs to be some real clarity around that, so we can plan this critical time moving forward. So yeah, the students' anxiety, we need to manage that, and we need to have clarity about the nature of the exams. Personally, I wish there had been more of a blended approach, somewhere between the teacher assessments and the centre assessed grades and a formal exam. And again, it seems to be from government thinking it's very binary. You know, we keep hearing this phrase that the best way to understand the student's level of ability is through an exam, and that seems to be an immovable belief that the Secretary of State for Education has. My view is that it could be something more blended. You know, if Ofqual worked really quickly, we could have a more blended approach where, yeah, there could be an exam element which could be slimmed down, and so we're actually only asking students to prepare for a proportion of their learning to be tested through a formal exam, and we could have a blended element with some teacher assessment as well. And if there was a proper framework in place for that, I mean, back in the day, I used to teach like that all the time as a head of English. That's how it was. It was 50-50. And that was a thing back in the late 90s of how assessment was done. But there seems to be a real reluctance to go back to that. So this notion of we can't trust teachers because all they do is inflate the grades, I think is a shame. I think if Ofqual had put some machinery in place to standardise those assessments, you could have had that blended approach to you know, end of year assessments, which would have relieved some of the anxiety of the students, I think. And would have allowed them to focus on the exam elements that are still manageable in the time that they've got. I guess what worries me, and certainly what worries the kids, is we don't really know what we're going to be examined on still. We don't know if we've got time to be ready and prepared for that. So we are already very, very worried. And it's a little indicator. I mean, it's great in a way, but it is an indicator of their anxiety. We do something called Past Paper Friday, and the maths team go into the dining hall every Friday afternoon because they know that's one-time day and the students are all free, and they teach maths for an hour. And they used to be, out of 270 students, there used to be 25, 30 turn up. We had 170 turn up the last 2 weeks, and it's a great buzz. You know, they're doing maths, and there's 10 maths teachers wandering around helping them with their papers. But that's great, and it's wonderful, and we celebrate it on Twitter. But it is evidence of the fact that these students are really, really anxious, and that's what's driving it. And so it's going to be, you know, quite a nervous time between now and the summer, I think.